Right. Hello and welcome back again to Growing Up Alien for a bit of a domestic update. So I'm going to talk a little bit about what we have planned for his 13 kids back home on Era and going to just kind of chat about a few other things that are semi-related, plus something that might resonate with some folks on how I see and kind of perceive things, and that you may do the same. So I think that would be a curiosity. But first, because I have absolutely no linear um, thinking, I suspect that has something to do with the fact that most of us come from a place where we're telepathic, so you don't have to use linear thinking. You just share everything with somebody else without having to really explain anything. So that could be possibly why. I zero uh, linear thinking, but I recommend this book. It's the Secret KGB Book of Alien Races, um, for sure. Great text. Glad I found it. Recommended by one of our friends, and yeah, it's kind of interesting to see the drawings and how someone kind of took those drawings and didn't do a whole lot of changing with them, which is kind of strange. You would think they would be. Um, if you're going to pretty much copy drawings from another book, you would probably change the drawing a little bit, but that's a no. Um, they have a nice little short blurb on us for those of us who are Pleiadian. There's a picture. Um, so nice spiritual picture of trying to reach Zen or something. So the Pleiadians, it says that they come from a solar system surrounding the Pleiades stars, more precisely from the planet Era near the star Tegeta. They are associated with spiritual growth. They practice sex cultivation, the distinctive. This is anyways, the distinct difference between their sexual expressions and their sensual emotions. Okay, I suppose that makes sense. So their ships are known as beam ships, thanks Semyasi, and although regularly visiting Earth, they have remained mostly silent since 10,000 BC. That's not true, but okay. They are one of the oldest known races to people, maybe, but not in general. We're not that old. They continue to develop the necessary mental skills. Well, that's a challenge, but anyway, to eventually reach their goal in even higher spiritual state. Very nice. Right? The Star Bunny Woo Woo group, apparently, of the Galactic realm. So, um, the next thing I want to bring up is the Tunguska explosion, and I'm gonna pull up pictures. Right, it's here, butts around a little bit. There. So this is Tunguska and the Day of Shame, as they said. Uh, so this happened in 1908, and most of you would be around then, not here, obviously, but back home. And when we think about terms of age and how old you are, you're you actually didn't die to come into the body you're in now. So it's not people talk about their past life. It's not your past life. And I'm going to talk about that in a little bit again, and right after I talk about this, but you're actually in the same life. Okay, same life, different body. You know what I'm saying? Same day, different crap. This is it's your same life, different body. You didn't die. You didn't go back to source. And then come into this body. You moved sideways. So most folks who are star seeds and envoys, is it not all, but most, the vast majority, it'd be, I'm guessing, this is your same life. So you didn't you didn't leave anywhere. So you're hundreds of years old, if not for some of you, thousands. So I was alive during the Tunguska explosion. So on Earth, it was 1908. And of course, you have to understand too, time is not linear. So you didn't, so we're actually, most of us are back in time right now. So there's no like past, present, future, and you can move between time, especially when you're in a ship, but you can move between time just with your own mind. So there's no such thing as the time that your average person would be thinking about. I'm actually going to talk about that in a wee bit. So, yes, I was around, and you were too, during the Tunguska explosion. We weren't here, though, on Earth. We were on our home planets, wherever that is, right? So, the Tunguska incident, and there's the picture there of the trees all being totally like toasted. That was a pretty insane thing. It occurred in a desolate area near Tunguska River in Russia on June 30th, 1908. It is commonly believed to have been caused by the explosion of a large meteoroid in Earth's atmosphere, and that's not, of course, what happened. The blast flattened an estimated 60 million trees over 2,000 square kilometers. But the Tunguska explosion did not have a cosmic birth and death. Well, kind of, but not, it was not a meteorite. So this is the version that was retold by a member of the Tengri Tengri. So he says, for 5 days and 4 nights, near what you call Tunguska, the Mitra had been fighting the Dorsey. Other races were starting to choose sides and were going to get involved. Even the Council of Five was worried with the escalation and seriousness of the event. On the day of that great explosion, an El Manuk ship came to Earth in order to try ending the conflict between the Dorsey and the Mitra. The El Manuk are respected wherever we may go, and they're wise and impartial. With them came a Pleiadian ship, one of their biggest. So I'm going to just go forward here and show you. Okay. It was a Cigar ship like this. This is a real picture from somewhere, I guess. I went over Russia or I don't know. From this book. It's those cigar ships. Oops, move this over. So those are commercial ships. They're merchant ships. They're for trade, and they go all over the place. My brother, Kael, used to fly these initially when he first started out as a pilot. It's kind of a dangerous job because a lot of times these cargo merchant ships will travel all over and into deep space. And because they're mercantile, they've got stuff in them. So yeah, you're really at risk of being taken over by pirates. So it's quite a dangerous job, and everyone was happy when he quit in that job and moved forward into more commercial flights, moving passengers. So that is what the ship looked like. It was full of merchant stuff, right? So a lot of crystals and different things that we would be trading with other races and picking up back and forth the same. And yes, I hear it. So the Mitra were warned by the reptilians of the coming presence of the Elmanuk and the Pleiadians. Earlier that day, the Mitra had just shot down the last of the Dorsey ships. When the Pleiadians entered Earth's atmosphere, they were attacked by 3 Mitra ships and destroyed. One Elmanuk ship was also destroyed in space that day. And also, according to this guy, this Tengri guy, the Pleiadian ship that was destroyed that day near Tunguska was not supposed to come to Earth that day. They were going to a different destination, carrying the things they do, their holy rocks and other materials. And in the right side there of the picture, that's some of the crystals that they found. And they have writing on there. So that ship was full of goodies, including these crystals that we were trading. So the Elmanuk asked them, the Pleiadians, to help them in solving the conflict, and they paid the price with the ending of their life. So in 2003, there's a picture of those crystals, like pinky orange crystals, maybe orange mango colored, whatever. In 2003, crystals with strange symbols, inscriptions, and holes were found in the Tunguska region. Further lab analysis showed that their composition is made of certain earth minerals, as well as some elements that are not found on Earth. So here's a note. In late 2008, the crystals were presented to the media by a Russian scientist. After much discussion about the origin of the crystals, the matter lost interest, and it is supposed that the crystals now rest in a private collection. So they were removed from view, obviously. I'm sure, yeah, taken away. And so here's a picture here. of a Tengri Tengri. They're so good you have to say it twice now. So, picture I give you. There's the man. Um, but that was the ship that was knocked down, trying to help, which is kind of seems to be typical for us that we end up sticking our nose in other people's situations because we like to do nice things and then we get it shafted for it. Like just like now. So, um, so I guess interesting on Tunguska, but you want to remember that you're not the age that the body is, that you're much older. So like, some folks are in the thousands. So you're bringing that knowledge here on this planet now. I recommend this kind of want to bring up some of the information that I gleaned. I have spoken to Daryl James actually a few times, and it totally sounds legit to me. And he lived with the Taigetan Tal. So there's different kinds of Tal, and some of the culture that he portrays in the most recent interview with Michael Salla and in other interviews as well. Some of them are different types of. Some are a little sneakier. They work with the Dark Fleet. So and that's the thing. It's not like everybody's bad. And there's been this narrative presented that whole entire groups of civilizations are bad, and that's not true at all. So you can't make judgments like that. And what's actually happening up there isn't what a lot of people think is happening down here or up there. So I think Daryl pretty much hit the nail on the head as far as the intel I'm receiving and have received from what's going on. That yeah, right now for sure, people ask why can't their families come in here because they won't let them. So if your family tried, the ships would be stopped before they even come in. So they wouldn't be anything bad. They're not going to hurt people, but they would be stopped. So there's no way they would even get in because the Earth's under lockdown. Um, had some recent intel that a ship going off planet was shot down. Most likely that would have been escaping. This is what we kind of just remote viewed it because we don't know any more intel on it, but we corroborated the fact that it seems like that this was some Cabal related group that was trying to leave the planet, and it was shot down. So the Cabal can't leave here. They're trapped here. And they know that. So we'll see where it heads. Right now we're in that like literally lockdown on so many levels. So that actually feels legit. No one, like I said, no one can leave here. I mean, you can't. So yes, you can leave. We won't be left leaving because they just right now there's no. I I don't know how that's going. Will we leave in the future? I don't know yet. I don't know what the deal is. And to be fair, no one does. There is absolutely no way that your alliance of the higher structure, the hegemony, the elites that make decisions as to what's going to be going down are going to tell anyone what this is, including other ETs. So there's a zero chance that any YouTuber is going to be delivering information on that. I mean, it's just common sense that this is not going to be delivered on a YouTube podcast. Um, so yeah, just use that's common sense rules the day, I think, in a lot of these situations. So one of the things I like to mention was that Daryl talked about what it was like to be in 5D, and they did a test apparently in the military dumbs for some of those operatives that would be working off planet to see if they would be able to jive in 5D. So you can go into 5D 6 and higher mentally anytime you want. There's no real no problem there. But this was to go physically in the Earth body into 5D. So some people can't and some people can. So what is it like to be in 5D? I think Daryl explained it a lot better than I would ever be able to. So I don't know if you can hear Jesse. Most of you are already in 5D. You've been in 5D. So it explains a lot of the dissonance and inability to relate to others that you've probably felt most of your life. that's all part of the reality of it. Because you have beings that have been recycled here on this planet, which creates a weird missing pieces type of feel. I don't know how that gets remedied. This is that's way above my pay grade. But when you have generations of a race that have not really actually, so they don't go back to source. See, that's part of it. When you die back on your home planet, you go back to source, and that's common. That's the way it works. See, a lot of Terrans think they go back to source, but they don't. They actually were in the soul trap. So that's where they would see Jesus or whatever figure they thought, angels or who knows. It's like, so a lot of people who have had near-death experiences, not all of them, but a lot of the ones that have a near-death experience actually went into the soul trap, and then they got kicked out because they didn't actually die. So that's the go towards the light kind of thing. That's all technology. They they're not going back to source. So the consciousness, the fractal of consciousness, is in a washing machine. So they keep getting spit out, spit out, and spit out. I mean, I suppose some people could be generations and generations where they have actually never returned to source. I suspect this allows some strange things to happen in their consciousness. And I think we feel that. So I don't know if that makes an NPC. I don't know what makes an NPC or if they are NPCs. People talk about NPCs. But what I tend to pick up off of those Terrans that have been recycled is sort of a childlike, not a good childlike, but like a childlike confusion, I suppose. They their brains to me kind of glitch. I don't know. It's nothing to do with intelligence. It has to do with like a processing capacity. So I feel a weird, like almost like being stuck in silly putty or something. It's a very strange sensation. Like, it's got nothing to do with intelligence. Like I said, it's just a sensation of their being. So because most of you, which is why you probably don't understand or have never really connected with a lot of the beings on this planet, it's because you're in 5D and you've been in 5D. You came in 5D. So the cabal was able to feel that frequency. That's why we all got snagged. So they had a ready. I don't know why that was not. I don't know if they could do anything to prevent that from happening, but they knew who you were, and they know who you are, and they know about the ETs here because it's the same thing. It's the bioessence that gets fed out that they're able to pick up on. So I like how Daryl explained it because he says it's like it's 5D is the way you receive, hold, and this is my words, but kind of what he said. It's there's a difference in the way that you process information, and that information is esoteric type information as well as physical information, the way your body physically processes things. So I kind of described it as the way you receive information, not only from your senses, but also the way you receive knowledge or conversations, and also the way you hold and the way you shape that information. As far as senses are concerned, it affects the way you perceive color, the way you perceive movement, sound. All of this is greatly enhanced. So for me, I didn't understand any, and for you, right? I didn't understand any of this as a child because I was reading, people were telepathing and people telepath. They still telepath. They don't realize they're doing it, and it's really weird because you're picking up all of this information from them that you don't want to pick up, but they're giving it to you. So it's really weird. So when I was in kindergarten, I was already telepathing, and I always felt like an adult squashed into this body, this child's body, and in the way I would um, exist, I guess, in the space here was not really. I don't know if his word is grounded, but I kind of like always felt in between worlds. I was never fully in the now. In the way I guess you would think of being in the now. I'm always kind of like wavering. Um, so I see that's why I preferred being around animals. And I haven't really talked a lot more about how this worked for me, but I felt safe around animals and they understood me. Like, so we got each other, like, because I can communicate with them and they communicate in a way that I'm familiar with through energetic transfer. So as a child, obviously that was a really good place for me to be where I could relax and be with other beings that I felt understood me and I understood them. And because I'm used to communicating that way. Uh, the conversation using words and everything is very peculiar for me. So when I see things, I actually take in. I was telling this to a friend. I'm like, "Do you see?" I'm sort of curious. I'm like, "Do you see like this?" And he's like, "No." I'm like, "Well, like I take in entire whatever's in front of my visual field. I take in all of it. I take in the smallest pieces of it, and I take in the grander sort of sweeping scale of whatever it is. So if I see a tree, I can see all the individual leaves, but I also see the entire tree at the same instantaneously at the same time. So I'm constantly when I scan an environment, I pick up on every little tiny thing that's existing in that space, as well as the whole entirety of that space. So he doesn't like, oh, okay. If I'm in a room of people, like say a car gallery where people are buying cars, I can zone in on different conversations in that entire area. And I'm not saying anything that the government doesn't already know. They know that. So I'm not giving out any intel about stuff that I can do. So um the way you process is very different from the way other people process. And I think that's why you feel like nobody gets you because they don't, if they're Terran. And other people like us would get you, but those in 4D or low 4D here, the ones that have been through the soul trap, it's extremely difficult to make a connection with them other than one that's superficial because they don't process information the way you do. So we also have an understanding, Daryl was mentioning, about how we move through time. And that was like, yeah, that's totally it. It's like you're kind of like floating. You're not in time. It like it's for a Ter I'm gonna guess this is what I sensed from other Terrans that they only see what's like literally around them in front of them. So their view of their actual life experience in the now doesn't involve seeing themselves or understanding themselves in a non-linear time framework. So they don't see their future, they don't process the now from an understanding of their future selves and of their past selves. So they understand the past, like what happened yesterday, but they don't understand seeing themselves in past times. So their understanding is only of their physical form in this time now without understanding that there's future thems, multiverse thems, and past thems. So it's a very narrow slice. I guess if you want to take it like the light spectrum, right? They could only say, it's just assume time was a light spectrum. They can only see a slice of that. They don't have access to, or they choose not to have access to. I don't really know. I've never really worked with a Terran. So I mean, I guess I mean, I know some. It's I think they can. I think some can break free and start to realize that this is going to be part of their challenge because it isn't something that anybody else can do for them. And you can do it for them, but that's not going to do anything. That's part of their problem is always asking for things to be done for them rather than using capacities or stretching capacities to figure things out. So for us, we understand ourselves through past lives and through future. And the fact is that most of you are from the future. So we're actually in the past now. But even though we've been shifted into a past time frame in this incarnate, not the incarnate, in this body, we understand ourselves in future, in the multi, as well as in past lives. So all of these things we bring to the table when we're processing. We understand how we move through time, so time, space, time. So we know how to shift out of body, and that's, things in the astral or what have you. So I guess that's and I've always found it fascinating as to the rift or the chasm between us and the Terrans on this planet, and why it's so hard for us to make a full connection with them. Um, I think there's always that sense of lack on we don't feel like fully supported. We don't feel like when you're in interactions with them, it's not on a level that you need, I suppose. It is missing something. So I find in interactions with animals, all of the needs that I have in an interaction are met. So I'm getting an energetic information and sensory connection to a being that when it's not wearing a mask. I guess that's the point. I think most Terrans wear a mask. We know what it's like to wear a mask because we put on a mask when we go out shopping. Whenever we're out, we have to wear a mask. We've been in these Halloween costumes for some time. But there's more behind the mask. We actually still have either, sometimes you lose it, but you've regained or are beginning to regain that sense of the true self, the true nature of who you are. So yeah, there's something definitely missing in these kinds of so we have a sensitivity when it comes to absorbing all of the sensory things that are around us. Now, this would change for each race or species that you are. For those of you that are Ahel, you're going to be picking up the sensory nature of things around you, not only through your senses and through your mind, but it's all very deeply locked into the way your body feels energetic transfer. So we are very sensory based. And the mind processes through the senses in that sense, where for other species that may not be as linked. So the best thing for folks to do is to understand who they really are beneath this surface that you're wearing, this package, because the real you is the extraterrestrial, and not just extraterrestrial. Some of our viewers can be interdimensional beings. Some of our viewers are actually non-physical essences. Those are the big fancy ones. Those are the ones that come in here. People may call them angelic level or whatever, but I call them non-physical intelligences. So the whole experience of the body for them is going to be very different versus those of us who might be, again, the Pleiadians, the Sirians, the usual suspects that are closer to the Terran physicality, where this is not so much of a jump for us. And you know how much of a jump it is. So you can imagine what kind of a jump it is for folks who are, Arcturian or Andromedan, different mantid races, things like that have come in here. And even for those who are elemental. So you have the different earth elementals that have seeded into this consciousness. So there's many different. It is kind of like everybody in the pool for this event to get the planet cleaned up. So it's a big party. But so when it's a different way. I think it's just a different, more, I don't want to say richer, but wider and more complicated way in which you bring information and process information through your body. Because it's on many levels. We don't just take out the trash. We don't just do the dishes or wash clothes, or there's more. It's hard. It's really, really challenging. You were very, like, I come from a place that we were very domestic, and we didn't, it was very, very simple. Even though we had the technology in the house, it was still very simple. But the interactions were on such an intense, zen, innocent, beautiful level. I guess that's what I miss. Well, I have it with him, but I mean, and I have it with the animals. But I don't know how you can just explain that. And I've been trying. I have to keep trying to the interactions with Earth beings, because there's always that, to me, an awkwardness. There was just, I don't know. It just doesn't leave you feeling very good. That's the best one. Um, so for the folks who are in a relationship and have just started reconnecting with their extraterrestrial partners or family, some folks may, and this is something I had to process, that I don't feel comfortable around Terrans. I don't feel comfortable around those kinds of humanoids. And I don't like them touching me. It's a very weird sensation. So an animal touches me, I'm perfectly fine with it. In fact, I get like a shower of, like, like when you pop a seltzer water, or if you like soda or whatever, and then there's that fizz that comes out of the, like, I get this seltzer fizz that just goes through my entire body, across my skin. It's like when I touch an animal, or particularly when they come up and touch me, I get this sensation of, like just effervescence throughout my entire body, and it's just wonderful. And their feathers and their fur, and it's just like that. Their energy is just really like a warm hug of loveliness. And so it kind of makes my body constrict when a Terran comes into my energy field. I get really, like, almost stiff and just uncomfortable. And I don't like them touching me. It's just a vibration that it's an energy that I'm not comfortable with. So I know some folks may be concerned that that's going to be an issue, and it won't be. And here's why: it's a vibration. So it's the essence, the vibration of your particular race. When they come to you, you're going to feel comfortable right away. You're not going to have all that distortion. You're not going to feel uncomfortable. So for me, the difference between what Eeka feels like versus what a Terran feels like is a vast difference. And like I said, I had been concerned about that. Like, I don't like humanoids. They actually, I'm actually quite frightened of them. I don't like being around them. So I had a concern that I want to be around. There's a huge part of me that wanted to be with him. But then there was that aspect that was afraid that I couldn't, because he's in a humanoid form. And to me, humanoid meant danger. So we spent I'm gonna at least 6 or 7 months. It took that from me. I'm not you, like I said, that's me. That's not you. It took through every day a desensitization process, where he initially just would enter my field, and I would get used to that. And then we would begin with touch, which was initially a little challenging. So then what he did was had me touch him, which worked over, I'm going to say, at least 6 or 7 months of this constant, it's okay, it's safe. So every time, it's a body memory. That's really, because your mind can be like, well, everything's fine. Your mind's like, yeah, of course everything's fine. I know intellectually everything's fine. But my body was like, no, this is a human form. You don't want anything to do with that. It's not safe. So my mind's like, it's safe. My body's like, it's not safe. So I would tense up around him the same as I would around a Terran. I didn't have the relaxation that I have around animals. So we're almost there where I still have a little my body where like I love him around me, but is there still that little bit of a just it's way. I mean, it went from a 10 to now it's at a 2. Let's put it that way. So the more you desensitize, the more you like neuroplasticity, right? The more you engage and allow and look at it as an experiment with you shifting the way your body responds to something like this. So this is what we did. It worked for us. Hopefully it will work for you. I almost 100% will know what I'm going to say it will. And it has to do with their vibration, their essence. It's completely different. It's what you've been seeking. So instead of when you meet up with a tear, and I hate to use I mean, let's just say there's a wall. I don't want to use because it's not about hierarchy, it's just about energy. So if you're turning a frequency on the radio to get to a certain radio channel, you have to turn exactly to 91.3 if you want 91.3. If you want to listen to 91.3, but you turn the radio to 90.1, you're not going to get 91.3. It's just that's how it is with vibrational matches. So if there's a Terran here and you're here, you're coming together, but there's a wall. You can't meet. Now they may want to meet with you because they like what you're giving. They can feel that. They want that. They seek it because they've never felt it before. And for a lot of folks, they may have this experience where you're especially children. Children have a little different vibration. It's not as bad. It's still kind of there, but it's not as bad generally. But they will read you, and you'll see that with kids. They really want it. They like stare at you or point at you and be like, "Oh my God, what is this? This is I want some of this, right? Like it isn't like what I got at home. I don't know what you are, but man, that feels good." So they want that. Animals will pick it up. They want that too. So if you're, from another place, if you're a fairy elemental, but if you're an extraterrestrial, here, animals will generally relax around you. Children and babies will relax around you. Certain people will relax around you. But many people will want this. They won't know what it is. They're not doing anything bad, but they'll like suck it out of you. They'll like suck your energy. And you'll have, of course, experiences of complete strangers coming up and telling you their life story or something like that. It's like, oh, okay, that's great. And it's just because they feel comfortable. You're exuding that comfortable vibe. When you meet extraterrestrials, that's what most people will notice. It's very welcoming, very belonging. You have a nice sensation there. Oh, they're so nice, and then that's it. So when I'm near Eeka, it's his energy is very light, but it's very crisp. It's the density of it. It doesn't feel very base or dense. It's I call it dirty energy. So your average, I don't mean dirty as gross dirty, but is a dirty energy. His energy is a very crisp energy. It's very clean, crisp. It's different from what an animal would exude. It's what I like. It's what resonates. So begin to understand that when you're with your partners, if you have trouble and if you've had a lot of trouble connecting with some of the energy and the humans on this planet, you won't have the same problem. Begin to feel into and absorb the energy of your partner and family, and you'll feel comfortable. So yes, it's understandable that many people on this planet have had a fear of intimacy or connection simply because the density did not match yours. It can't work. So you can't force density matches. Just it's not going to happen. Um, but the correct density will shift and solve that pattern. So there's nothing to worry about, I guess, in that. But you got to give her the time. Some people connect right away. Some people it takes a little bit more time. So that'll be a significant experience for you. Um, the what has been done, again, is the race on this planet have been, as you know, I'm going to get a big thing, right? And has been seriously messed up. So hopefully that will get remedied. I don't know how. It's way outside my, again, this is outside my my pay grade. So it's interesting because and I'm glad Daryl mentioned this because there's Terrans all over space. There's Terrans on Era, there's Terrans all over the place. And he noticed, which is what we all know, that off planet they live 800 years. The Terrans before the takedown of this planet lived around 800 or so years. Um, is what they did to them is rather unfortunate. So when you think about the Ahel, we only live like 3 to 500. Like some people will live more depending on like they're like going to be the elders, they spiritually advanced, they can live longer. Um, but we don't have anywhere near the same lifespan as a Terran should have. So I suspect that and this is back home, there's quite a desire actually for and Eeka likes them. There's a genetic desire to make a romantic relationship with a Terran. So they are desired on other planets. When they're on the other planets, of course, where these are the Terrans that are not uh, degraded, like poisoned and all that. So they have a different vibe. One of the other things I just want to talk about is just an update on what we're doing with the kids. So yeah, we've been in play with these kids, the 13 kids, his kids. So they're not going to stay obviously in that uh, a school structure thing that they're this is where it's where refugees get rehabbed. So we don't want them to stay there, obviously. They don't have any, they're fine there. They're not long, they don't long for anything because these kids don't know anything about family or anything. They just, wherever they are, they are. That's how they are. So it's just great because they don't have any, feelings or longing and all that. So what we're going to do is the eldest boy, who is, God, he's like, would be equivalent of a 13-year-old here. So he's more than ready. He's pretty feisty. He's a fun guy. He's very intelligent. They're far more intelligent than your average Pleiadian, no, for sure. Of course, that's not. He's gonna hit me. That's not saying much. Your average squirrel brain. Uh, so the oldest boy, my brother, is going to take with him, and he's going to work on the ship. So my brother, again, as I said, he's a commercial pilot. He used to fly those merchant ships, and we were a little nervous about that. And he was flying those merchant ships when the Tunguska event happened. So there's always danger of piracy and all kinds of really negative races and groups upstairs when you're in deep space. And the distance, it's not, people think it's romantic up there. There's really nothing up there. There's nothing. It's like there is literally nothing for light years there. So I don't know, I think you get sick of it pretty quick. So distances are vast, and it's easy and extremely dangerous to get yourself in any kind of issue. And it can't happen. So no one's 100% safe. So we do fly, the Pleiadians fly these very large cigar-shaped merchant ships, and we do quite a bit of trading. And you'll see them here. People see these tube shapes. So our ships have the flat ends on them. The Draco, other reptilians have a tube-shaped ship too, but they have a different shape to them. They don't have the flat ends. So I don't, they did. Okay. So they did give some of the designs. So they gave the designs. He's telling me, he's right. They gave the designs of these ships to the military here. The military, some of them are Earth made, some of them are Pleiadian. Okay. So the oldest boy is going to work on the ship with my brother. So he's going there. He's excited. He's going to enjoy that. And the girls were going to split up between Eeka's mother and father and my mother and father. So it's like a gifting. Some are going to get some of them, and some are going to get the other ones. That'll be nice. They'll have a family, and they'll do their thing there. Because our parents are really good, obviously, at raising kids. My parents were rock stars, and Eeka's is very sweet too. So Eeka's father, his family, his mom as well. It's more of his father's line. They were always involved in selling things, like being involved in merchant stuff. So that's why Eeka would go into the city, because it's his father's family's business, and he would gain points. We don't ever. This is one of the things that Earth people are going to have to deal with because you can't run a civilization. No, everybody hates the idea of like, oh, it's barbaric here. It's not fair and blah 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 blah. And you can't have competition. You can't run a society of any competition and expect fairness. There's a lot of deep aspects. Well, they're actually reptilian, Draco reptilian aspects to this society that the Terrans, I think, are very attached to. They like their sports. Nothing wrong with playing sports. No, we have like some activities like no, the Alpha Centauris play sports. The Tau Cetis play sports. They play sports like competition sports, and they seem to be okay with it. I don't know. We don't have any competitive sports. We do like activities, that kind of thing. We don't have any we don't have any desire to play sports. I remember ever growing up, I have no interest in competitions, or it would just I just didn't like that. There was something wrong about it to me. Um, so we're very innocent. We're very we're very naive for this planet for sure. We don't understand. Like that's the biggest thing for me. I don't understand the way Terrans think and behave and act, and it's just a separate. It's not that it's good or bad. It's just that they're completely alien to me. I can't understand the way they run relationships. I don't understand the way they have conversations. I don't understand the way they run business. None of it makes any sense to me. It always makes me incredibly uncomfortable. And finally, for the first time in my life, I'm separate from them, and I never have to do anything again in relation to Terran society. Because it's just I just never. It just eroded me like acid. I just don't understand it. I know why you'd want to be like that. I don't know why you'd want to interact with people like that. So it's just this is the thing with the Ahel is very different for folks, and a lot of people probably wouldn't enjoy spending time with us for long periods because it's a very gentle, very there's we're very sensitive. It's just we don't it's just a different. I don't think there's a cultural relation there at all, and it's just different. So, yeah, his father was involved in merchants, and that's how he got. And that's how we get. He would buy different things that you wanted that you wouldn't, be naturally given. We used to grow foods. We have a hydroponic. So on Era, most of all. Pretty much most. Not like there are some trees and things that we grow nuts and everything outside, but most of it's high. We don't want to see. We don't use the environment. That's another thing. Like Terrans see the environment that they live in as a thing to use. It's sort of a secondary thought. They feel like it's against them. Like they don't live with nature. The native like think of more Native American. We live with nature. We don't ever want to interfere with nature. We don't want to like hurt nature. So we try to leave as small as footprint as we can in the natural world. So we generally grow all of our food through a hydroponic system. It's the same system that they use on ships. So my family would grow food. That's how we did that. And you also have replicators, but most of the food we want food like actual grown fruits, vegetables, nuts, all that kind of stuff. So. Yeah, the girls are gonna go split between our parents. They're gonna live there, and then the three boys, leftover boys. Don't call my kids leftovers. Leftovers. The three leftover boys are gonna go to our house, and Camiel, and he's right now. He's like, Camiel is gonna take care. He's excited. He's gonna live there. So Camiel's my cousin. And he's saying, yeah, it's your family line. Yeah, okay. Teasing is big with us now. It seems more teasing. Well, the men, the men tease the women. I don't know. It seems like, but Camiel is going to move into. He's been staying on and off in our house, but he's going to move there, and he's going to take care of the three boys. So, his friends, his girls. There's two girls that are his friends. They're cute. Oh, they're gorgeous. They look like they're tall. They look like models from, Norwegian models. They're really beautiful. There is two friends. And they said there's no way they're going to let that lunatic take care of these little boys and like derange them. So um, they're going to move in too. So now we have six people living in our small house with one bathroom. So, nevertheless, I agree. And Eka thinks it's absolutely a brilliant idea that these girls also assist in taking care of these boys. We don't think it's Gammy. I'll be like, oh, like I can do this thing. It's like, and he can. He's actually we always make fun of him, but he is the sweetest thing. So the girls, but the girls, I think what I'm getting from them is like they just want to be around kids, so they like to. They're going to make an excuse that, oh, he's a nitwit and he can't take care of the kids. We want to be there too. So they're going to move in. So there's six people in our house, which has a kitchen, a bedroom on the first floor, and a bathroom on the first floor. And then there's a top floor, and there's another bedroom and a library holographic, room where you sit. I mean, a library. We're entertain if you want to have an entertainment room, whatever. That's all. That is our house. So there's going to be six people in there with, like I said, one bathroom. And Cameo was like, oh, we'll just go to the bathroom outside. And I was like, no. If you're going to go, this is fine. You do. But if you're not near the house, you're going to go away from the house. Anyway, so they're going to have to figure that out. And that's where we are with the kids right now. So that's a win-win because I don't know if and when either of us will ever, go home. So it's possible. It's still, like I say, it's still nothing. I don't want to be like, we don't want to be, but this is something we had to talk about because as it stands right now, neither of us are going home. And the kids can't just sit in a camp like that. This is this beautiful camp, isn't like it's like a camp or something, everything. We don't do stuff like that. We don't treat anyone like second class garbage. No one, no being on our planet is like that. We don't the animals, nothing. The animals are not farmed, they're not used, they're not eaten, they're not owned. We do live with different, we interact with them. We do have like pets, but they're not like there would be here. We don't breed animals to be used. Nothing is for sale. So we don't agree with the selling of anything live. Well, plants. I mean, it's at this point, you have to go higher up. But we still respect plants. Everything is respected. You don't hurt things, right? It's just a real deep feeling. So that's why most of us are animal rights activists here, and they're activists in some way who are Pleiadian because we don't like you remember when you were a kid if you are a hell, and that goes for the tall as well. Some tall do eat meat and they do eat fish and things like that. So the Tau Cetis do have they don't eat meat, but they get milk. They use dairy. So we do not use eggs, dairy, and we don't use any animal products. So we're not vegan to be vegan. We're not vegan. We're like it's just never something. It's just our culture. We're like and it's true the way that we're trying to create. I mean, we're definitely hedonistic. I will definitely extremely hedonistic. We're not sexual in the sense that a Terran would think of it. I don't know like how that's gonna roll. Depends on the person. We joke a lot about that and I make fun of it and everything, but we're not like that. It's more about sensual. We're fixated on the sensual and the experience and pleasure in that sense of having life as a pleasurable experience. So we are a hedonistic culture, but not one that's like based on and would ever be based on negativity. I can't speak for everybody. I don't. There's a whole entire planet of people. No, not everybody is perfect. So we don't really have crime. There's no sense of that. There's no need of that. So once you remove the the base creator of what causes crime. So crime on Earth is intentional. So this happened over millennia because they were breeding the Terrans to create this turmoil and barbaric society. That's what they want because then it's easier to control them. And it's also easier to create discord and chaos. That's what they want. They want a constant level of suffering, discord, and chaos. That's how they rule here. Because then they can implement law. So we don't have law and in the way that you don't need it. You don't need someone telling you to do something a certain way. You just know by a natural spiritual evolution, just common sense, what works. But we're not fighting each other for food and housing and stuff. We don't have money. So the humans are going to have to understand on this planet, in order for them to move forward, I don't know how they're going to do this. They have to get rid of this money system. That in and of itself is never going to fly because you're always because you have a situation of competition and greed here that is going to create crime where all of our basic needs to live, not even basic, over and above, according to this planet. You have all the food you want, you have all the clothes you need that you would need, and everyone has shelter. There's no one ever fights for these things. Yeah, there's some people that want more, but not in so greedy a sense. We do have people that leave the planet because they're looking for adventure. So there's that. You do everybody's different. There's some people that look for different things. But there's no real desire to, it's just not part of our culture to have that greed. So that has to go. That one-upsmanship. It isn't, I mean, it just wouldn't be understood. Like no one would understand that from what I've experienced growing up there. There's just no one ever craves like a better ship or some I know his own cars, but he craves cars. He likes cars. He likes machines. He likes boats and cars and all that. But there's no like he's interested in them. As I say, he doesn't crave it. Like he wouldn't like, I gotta have a really fancy car or something. He has an interest in that. He just it piques his curiosity. But it's weird. Like we just don't like the way people live here. I don't under and it's always like that sense of trying to be better than somebody else. It's just really weird. I don't understand that. And I know it's very popular here. To sing better, to do something better. And just on that fact of so then you could brag and be an ego lord. And we don't have that. Um, it's just I don't like I said, I never understood it and I don't want to. And I think for a lot of us it's part of the pain of living here is releasing the programming that's very detrimental because inside yourself is very detrimental. So crime on this planet is based on a causation factor, right? So people living in a society that's very Draco, that's survival of the fittest. That's a violent society. It's always about fighting for something. Dogs on a garbage truck kind of fight, right? Fight for survival. That's imposed here. You need to get someone before they get you. There's all these philosophies that are seeded deep for generations that some people are bad, some people are good. Some countries are bad, some countries are good. The way that this people live is bad, the way they live is good, and making it almost impossible for large numbers of populations to survive. And they even have quite, is it first world countries, second world countries, third world countries? They even rank that. So they are deliberately creating senses of lack, of fighting for resources, of creating greed, because it's like you have one country that's got a lot of stuff, another country that doesn't have a lot of stuff. So then those countries will fight because this country is going to be like, hey, how come you got all kinds of stuff and we don't have anything? So they want to create constantly all this fighting in any kind of work environment. There's a hierarchy there. You have a boss that controls everything, right? Because you all know in many work situations that there's a boss or a group of bosses that basically own everybody else in that company. They can make or break you, and you have to bow down and do whatever they want, work whatever hours. I mean, why do you work the hours you work? That doesn't even make any sense. Why does somebody work 40 hours a week? Why not 42? Why not 35? Why not 25? There's all that. If you go into a place of business here on this planet, they dictate every inch of your life. And you have no say. You can't walk into a company and be like, I'm really happy to work here. I think I can, offer some kind of wonderful service to you guys. We can all hang out together, have a good time. And they're like, yeah, that's awesome. So we'll give you they'll give you this amount of money, because it's money here, right? For what you can do. And you say, well, I can do it for so many hours. There's no negotiation. They just shove it at you. And most Terrans wouldn't understand me even talking about this because they're like, well, that's their company and they own it and they can do what they want and blah, blah, blah. And it's like, yeah, see, that's why your world looks like this. Because you have this thinking. And that's why there's so much discord. and so much hair trigger attacks and boundary problems because there's no natural understanding of what a boundary is. And many of us, if I when I grew up back home, yeah, you have to guide children, but we guide children and they get feisty and they do things that's not, but you have to, you kind of guide them. And we don't, like I said, we don't suppress our children generally. So the oldest boy going to work with my brother is a great arrangement. Everybody's happy with that. So we don't hold our children back. So there's no, I'm not gonna, we're, no, Eka and I would not hold, it's again, I'm a kind of the guest mom, like, but neither of us would hold back any children what they want to do. If there was another of the girls that wanted to join the GFW or some military organization that's dangerous, we would not say anything against that. We would worry for them, but we wouldn't. That's their role. We would, we have discussion, whatever. But again, that's their role. The same for us being here. I don't think, yeah, what happened for the envoy program, we did not expect. The wrenches thrown into it, the brutal treatment that we would experience. We knew some of it would be when we were going into a war zone. We knew what Earth was like. So it wasn't a surprise. I think knowing what something's like and then physically experiencing it are two different things. That's for sure. That happened. That's for, but we didn't ever doubt we would probably return home in some way. So now it's a little bit more rocky, and it's okay. We understand, like, okay, if I just have to waste another 30 years here, that's fine. My lifespan back home, I'm 175 Earth years basically. So I still have another 200 more or something years to go. So just losing, 80 or something years here, if I have to live that long here, that's okay. I'm going to go back home at that point. So I'm going back to my body then. It's not so much of a, it is a struggle living here, but it's not like now that I have a different perspective of that. And Yika's okay with that too. He will wait here until I, die here. So, or this body dies here, and I'll be taken back from there. I don't know if that's going to happen. We're just putting all of the contingency into place for our family and how it works for us. And I think folks should do the same for their families too, because there's definitely some concerns with your families and with yourself about what's going to happen to you here. So, you definitely make arrangements, with where we are right now and what, I don't say worst case scenario, but we have discussed that, because we everybody goes back to the same place. Obviously, we're just experiencing a temporary existence here. So if worse were to come to worse, let's say, and we end up going, back home to source, right? There's worse things. And it is hard. I'm not saying that, we don't treat death lightly back home. We actually treat it, we understand it. And the thing is that, death is still death, even though we don't in our religion, because there's no ET that's going to tell you what it's like to be dead. I mean, there's when you come back into your body, into a new body. So when you're born, you still remember your past lives, but the aspects of being dead is still kind of being in source, and staying in source is kind of hazy. There's that. So no one really knows. And then of course, as you're living a life in a physical form, connected with other beings, you develop a deep connection to those other beings. And losing one of them is still as it would be. It is still a significant issue. So, there's definitely some sadness with the idea that maybe, neither of us would ever go home again, never see our house again. So there's a little bit of that, and that the people that we knew back home may never see us again in this form, in our forms, whatever. Like I said, it's a possibility. It's always a possibility. If you're in a physical form, you can die anywhere. So that's just something, we keep that as like very low on the list of plans, but it's definitely something that came into the forefront with these children. And they're fine. They don't know who we are really. They're just there's these nice people that visit us. That's all they see it. They don't have a parental connection to us. So at least we know now that they're going to have well, we always knew it wasn't there's no worries about that. But this it was time to make a decision as to where they were going to go, and we did. They're all set. So it is what it is as we finish this ride here. Um, and that's all I have for now, ultimately. So hopefully that kind of like brought to light maybe some of the things you've been thinking about, and maybe some stuff you want to talk about with your families. And is what it is. So cool beans. And as Frank Chili always says, we'll see you guys upstairs.